The stock market moved pretty crazy last week, and we got a lot to talk about. So let's get started, man. You guys don't want to miss out on anything. I got some support, some resistance, and some plays a little bit later. We kind of got to adjust how we've been doing our plays, and we adjusted to day trading only. So we're going to be giving you guys some good plays to watch and how to watch them, why to watch them, explain it, and explain seasonality a little bit. So without further ado, let's get started. So first off, man, I want to start off on ATAI. We're going to be talking about this one when we get to the plays a little bit later. We did do bad overall for the earnings, and some other things brought it down to a decent amount, that 3.6 level. I think I told you guys last week that 3.6 doesn't look too bad. And even if you bought it at that 3.6 level, you could still make some decent amount of money. But in my opinion, do I think we could still go up? With that being said, if it would have did pretty bad, we would have probably sold off all the way below $3. But we're still holding that $3 level, and we're still holding up pretty strong with ATI in general. My average is at 2.6, and I'm not selling anytime soon. But with that being said, we do still have that risk that we can fall below that $3 level. And when it does, that's probably when I'm going to sell my shares at around that $3 level and then just reposition myself overall. But I'm going to be holding up pretty strong, and ATI is still holding up pretty strong, decently pretty strong. We are kind of looking a little bit bearish in the short term, but all we need is one breakout up or down, and that's going to determine if I'm going to keep my trades dollar cost average or anything like that. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on the daily videos and probably make some shorts too. So have those post notifications on if you guys are into ATAI. With that also being said, man, we had some great movement with Apple overall, and this is one of my biggest holdings on my long-term account. If you guys don't know about that, I have videos that I come out with monthly, sometimes even weekly if we position a little bit higher. But this is one of my biggest holdings over there. I think we have like $50,000 into it. I got to look at it again. But this is bringing my share price up a decent amount. And honestly, man, I think Apple can continue the rally upwards. I just think we need some better news with AI. And once that comes out, we could probably get 240 to 250. But we're going to be talking about some plays a little bit later. And honestly, man, last week did seem kind of slow. But at the same time, SPY hit a new all-time high. And honestly, man, I still traded. I didn't really make any videos. I was on vacation, but I still made a decent amount of money. I didn't trade any SPY plays. I mainly used NVIDIA and Apple for my trades. But with that being said, both of them did make me a decent amount of money with the movements. NVIDIA moved a little bit slower, but we did see some bigger movements overall. We do see some selling pressure coming into play with NVIDIA overall. So when we get to the plays a little bit later, we're going to be talking more about that. But NVIDIA doesn't really look too good in the short term. We were kind of like consolidating a little bit, and now we finally broke down. So we can either, break down even more and or go up higher. So when we get to the plays, I'm going to be explaining what these green and red lines mean. But with that all being said, man, let's get to some news. What is going on for next week and how to start off your week strong. So first off, let's talk about the seasonality of August. So since we're in the post-election year right now, in history, it does show that August looks pretty bearish. But if we just look at the SPY, we just broke a new all-time high and we're still kind of going to the upside. It doesn't really look like that this is in play quite yet. But we do have an event that we're going to be talking about a little bit later with Jerome. And honestly, that can change how this August looks overall. But what I really wanted to talk about is September. So we got to be prepped for September, because if we look at the August one, the 1950, 20 years, 10 years, they were kind of flat. And honestly, that still doesn't look good overall. But September is that month of the year that where the market is just overall, it just falls. So we will be keeping that in mind while we're talking about the trades and things like that, and even some swing trades that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But you can still make money both ways. We could play the higher lows, higher highs, and a lot of opportunities for some good money to be made. So later on in the video, like I said before, we get to support and resistance and the plays. We're going to dive deeper into how we can play this dropping market and stay green for September. Because I'm not going to lie, bearish months, it's going to be hard to make money because the stock market's basically going both ways. We see more volatility. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about how to make money in September. But just keep this on your mind, because September is overall bearish. But then when we get to like October, November, December, that's when the stock market goes up higher. But a little hint for later on, we're going to be looking at some plays that once the market does drop, you can play some longer term calls. And then hopefully October, November, that's when your calls can hit. but we're going to be getting it like 3 to 4 months in advance just to give us some more time. But if we could scope out those lows, I mean, we might lose a little bit of money at first, but with patience, we can make a decent amount of money with some plays later on. First link in the description below, I have a bunch of courses to help you guys become more profitable. I have a long term that gives you guys 40 free stocks to outperform the S&P 500, especially in this time. So go check out these courses with that code down below. You guys can get 50% off, and the courses are already relatively cheap. I can promise you, you'll make your money back within the first day. But we have the Jackson Hole, and it's a 3-day event starting Wednesday. And in the past, it showed a decent amount of selling in the market overall. So keep that in mind while trading this week, because Wednesday and even today and tomorrow, we could probably see people taking profits overall, prepping for this event. But with that being said, it's just the past. As we've seen with August, the August is pretty bearish in the past with post-election, but right now August is pretty green. So with that being said, man, history can throw some people off, but at the same time, it's probably not going to follow. But with that being said, we can always prep for this. So keep that in mind for today and tomorrow. We might see some people taking some profits and the market falling a little bit more. But with this event, if it's good or bad, we can see the market go up or down. So honestly, this 3-day event is going to be big, and this is what's going to be on people's radars. And then we did get a lot of Russia news yesterday, or this week, basically, or last week. Sorry, last week we got a lot of Trump and Russia news, getting some peace talks, trying to get them made, but honestly, not really looking too good. They're trying to get a deal, and honestly, it's just not working out. But comment down below if you guys think we can get peace anytime soon, and or if you think it's gonna just continue for a longer amount of time, and then we'll probably get something, a deal made or something like that. But Zelensky will be coming to meet with Trump along with other European leaders. So depending on how these talks go, one big segment that has been moving is oil. This is moving oil a lot with these talks, good and bad, up and down, very volatile. So keep oil on your radar if you guys see any headlines related to this. But those are quick trades. Do not stay in those trades for a long time unless we get like an overall peace deal or something like that. But before we get to some earnings, let's talk about some events. So Monday or today, it's not really honestly anything big, but we do have home builder confidence. Then we got housing starts, building permits on Tuesday. We got FOMC meeting and the start of the Jackson's Hole. So honestly, Wednesday is going to be a busier day and continuing the week with that. But Thursday, we do have initial jobless claims, so this can move the market hour before. We have a survey coming out, the PMI, existing home sales, and leading economic indicators. And the Friday, we have nothing scheduled yet. But honestly, we seen that last week when I made the Monday video, and there's something showed up like a few days after. So keep that in mind. I'm going to be updating you guys every single day with these events and how they played out. So earnings, you guys can screenshot this list real quick if you guys want. But with that being said, we do have Home Depot on Tuesday, and we do have Walmart on Thursday. A lot of people are watching Walmart the most, so keep Walmart on your radar. We do have Target as well. I think last time Target did better than Walmart. So honestly, let's see how that goes. This can show consumers' confidence. This can show a lot with the market overall. So keep Home Depot, Target, and Walmart, especially on your radar for this week for earnings. Not really anything big, but we do have Nvidia coming up, and that one's going to be big. And back to the seasonality, like I said before, man. Right now, man, we still have trade talks with China. Now, I think that's going to be a big event, but I think to make August a little bit more bearish is going to be the Nvidia's earnings as well, and how this meeting goes overall. So with that being said, man, Nvidia's earnings can make or break the market, because if Nvidia sells off, we're going to see other chips sell off, and chips are kind of holding up the market a decent amount. So if we see a big sell in chips, you're probably going to see other companies, because a lot of companies that are big into AI is also going to fall if we don't look too good with chip sales overall. So honestly, just keep this on your mind and on your radar, because honestly, it's going to be big. But we can see individual stocks like go up too if we see like a deal with Nvidia or something. So honestly, man, that's for next week. But let's get to the bigger segment, and that's going to be supports and resistance. So for ATAI, I'm going to be watching how it plays out. If we can somehow get a gap fill upwards all the way to the high, again, to like 4.4, that would look good. But I think my dollar cost average, if we do fall back down to that 360, I might average in some more money just to have that set in stone. But if we go back up to the highs and honestly doesn't really break the highs too much and it just stays in this range, I might sell at like that 4.5 level if we can get up there, and or even that 4.20 level. Just depends on how ATI moves, and then I'm just going to move on and honestly trade ATI another time. But this is like a trade that I'm willing to hold for a couple of months and then sell when I make profit, and just rinse and repeat basically. But ATI is still moving pretty good, and a lot of people like it. A lot of people talk about it. It's still watched by a lot of people. And honestly, man, if we can make a break above that $5 level, we might see ATI get up even more. So next one on the list is indeed AMD. I haven't really traded it last week, but we did have some good movements overall. But we did just see some news saying that, they're struggling a little bit more than Nvidia, getting some sales in China. So we are falling a decent amount with AMD overall. You can play this one to the downside if you guys really want to. But when trading individual stocks, I do recommend looking at the S&P 500 and also other chip stocks too. So for AMD, if you see other chip stocks selling off, you could probably play AMD to the downside and get a little bit of profit. Don't stay in too long, especially to the downside, unless we see like a clear break or a clear sign of bad news. But for now, I'm going to be watching AMD to the downside unless we can make a little rally to the upside. Next is going to be the SPY overall. Honestly, man, if we look at it in a more zoomed out chart, it kind of makes the same movements throughout the day when the day continues to say. So like, this day we bought up was pretty green. So you could have got a call option at the bottom and it still just rallied up. This time we sold off. And honestly, we did kind of make a little bit of a recovery, but towards the end of the day, we sold off. And then honestly, this day was kind of neutral, but we did sell off for most of the day. And then it finally came back. So you could still take some profit later on. And then this day we went up and it kind of continued for the whole day, went down, went up, went down. But this is just like common movement with the SPY. We have been making one direction for the whole day and it kind of just followed that direction overall. We've been seeing that a lot. So I kind of like that with the SPY overall. If you guys do want to play some trades, you guys can play it to the direction that is kind of going for the rest of the day. And honestly, it's been moving pretty well with that. You can also buy some gaps to the downside, like right here. If you would have bought it at that 642.7 and it rallied back up, you could have held it for a little bit longer. And then this one too, you can even though we fell down and it fell down towards the end of the day, you could have still bought it at that 642.5 and then sold it at the highs of like 644. And you can even sell it a little bit earlier, like 643.5. SPY makes you a decent amount of money with option plays. But with that being said, man, just have your patience with SPY. I don't really trade it that much anymore, but sometimes I'll get into a trade every now and then, maybe like once or twice a month. Just make sure that you're married to the right direction for the SPY overall. So these two are trades that I have been personally watching. With that being said, man, with the overall chips, it doesn't really look too good right now. We have been selling off. But if we can fill the gap back up to like that 182 level, we can potentially make a movement back up to like that 185. But just have news close on watch while trading NVIDIA and Apple. With that being said, the red lines are some lines that I'm watching for a put option. And these ones are going to be swing trades and or even day trades. Just depends on how they hit and the news that comes out. Like if we get good news, I'm not going to buy a put option here. And if we get a clear rally to the upside, a put option doesn't really look too good yet. But to say we have been getting some bounces off these lines, like we sold off and then we soon bought and then we sold off some more. So honestly, from that 182.9 to like that 181.5, you're still making at least $1 in the money. So that is pretty decent. This day we just sold off and then kind of rallied back up. This is where I bought a call option at last week or on Friday, actually. I bought it at the lows. I think I bought it here when it bounced off of that 178.5, but I did buy it a little bit later, like that 178.8. And I kind of thought that, maybe get like $1 in the money, sell it. Made a decent amount of money off that one. But as long as you have your patience, you can make any trade work basically. And even for like a red day for NVIDIA, you can still play call options and still make a decent amount of money. So for today, I am going to be watching those ranges that it bounced off of, but I'm going to have my patience. I'm going to see if we can get a bounce off of it and then maybe a retest and then another bounce. That's when I'm probably going to buy a call option. But if we get a clear bounce upwards, it's already too late to buy that. I'm not going to get into a call option like that, especially with how NVIDIA looks right now. But with that being said, I'm going to be looking at that 178.5, 178 flat. And then honestly, if you fall down even more, you can just dollar cost average into it. But I'm going to have like I'm probably not even going to trade today unless the plays play out pretty well. Next one I'm watching is indeed Apple. I'm going to be watching those lows, especially from a few days ago. And it's going to be that 229 below that 230 level and that 228 level for a call option for Apple overall. Honestly, man, for Apple, it is kind of skeptical to trade call options, especially if we start falling. We might even fall down even more, maybe get to like 225. So that's why I kind of want to have a little bit more patience getting call options for Apple, unless we get a clear break overall for the overall market. Like if SPY starts breaking upwards, you could potentially make some decent amount of money. And then for some put options, I'm looking at that 233.5 to that 234. And honestly, I'm just going to see, make sure there's no good news, make sure that the SPY isn't running. Because honestly, man, the SPY did indeed run. Like I think was that Thursday. Thursday it ran up pretty well, and then pre-market it ran up pretty well, but then we sold off soon after we hit those all-time highs. So honestly, just have your patience overall for the stock market. With that being said, comment down below what stocks you guys are watching this week. We can even trade some oil a little bit. I'm going to be posting on my Twitter a little bit. So if you guys are interested, NextGen Wealth on Twitter, check out some of those courses. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Good luck trading today and good luck. Peace out.